Hey folks, welcome to a new video. So in this video I mostly wanted to discuss a bit about the history of JavaScript because as this series will be mostly a series of videos that I am making is mostly will be about the cost of JavaScript, right? So we use JavaScript, we take things for granted, and most of the tutorials that I have seen till now, they focus mostly on the how to things, right? How to use an array function, how to use a spread operator, how to use did, how to use that, blah blah. So, but no one really dives into the cost of it or the inherent flaws that JavaScript has by default, right? Which you really cannot do anything much about. But yeah, so this series will be mostly called, let's say, horrors of JavaScript, just because it sounds catchy. But it's not like JavaScript is useless or anything. Most of the web is running on it, so it has to be something good. But it's also equally important to understand the flaws that comes with it, because that will help you make better decisions as an engineer when you're trying to build things, right? So yeah, I wanted to start this off with a bit of history on JavaScript, like how did it came to existence, what were the reasons, and what was the purpose of it. So we have to go back to 1990s, mid 1990s as such. So there were when web was gaining popularity, people were starting to adopt it. There were two organizations, Microsoft and Netscape, who were mostly fighting for adoption in web for people to access the net via their browsers, right? So access the net via their browsers, build things on top of their browsers and stuff and so on. So Netscape had a browser called, I forgot the name, it was there somewhere. Internet had to Internet Explorer, that's fine. Netscape had something called Netscape Navigator. So Netscape Navigator was their browser, Internet Explorer was Microsoft's browser, and both were in a sort of a browser war, they call it as such. So you can read more about it here if you find. They call it browser war. So both were on a war to get adopted as quickly as possible, so that they can have more. Majority of people can access the internet through them, right? So first thing to understand is JavaScript was built in a very competitive environment, at least the initial version of it, right? And since there was very huge demand, even if the initial version was sort of like built very frequently, it was adopted very quickly. So also one cool fact about JavaScript was Brendan Eich, who created JavaScript, was called to create JavaScript. He was given 10 days. So I'm not sure how true this is, but someone call it 2 weeks, someone call it 10 days. But basically, the period that he was given to create come up with a scripting language by which people or developers can build things on top of their browsers was a very limited amount of time, right? 10 days is very less. So we really need to appreciate the things or the decisions that were taken in that very brief instant of time, because let's face it, most of the web is running on JavaScript. So of course it has upgraded a lot since then, but even if it has its own design flaws, it was made in 10 or 14 days. That's a very brief amount of time for you to come up with a scripting language and make the best decisions in the world, right? So, but also it's equally important to understand the flaws, which will help you make the decisions better on what to use, what and why not, and so on, right? So this is a bit of backstory on creation of JavaScript, and once it was created, it was hugely adopted, right? Because there was a dire need for such a scripting language to build interactive things and all, like, which wasn't much possible before JavaScript. And also, like, JavaScript had a format of it was initially tasked as an embedding scheme, and it's a Lisp dialect. You can read more about it here. But since Netscape was sort of close to Sun Microsystems, who created Java, if I'm not wrong, right? So Sun Microsystems then asked them to call it JavaScript and make it look like Java. The syntax and stuff, but also behave a bit like Scheme. Okay, that's what. So that's the bit of story on the origin of JavaScript. And after it was launched, it was hugely adopted. And after that, people start pushing updates and made changes and whatever, right? But still, the core inherent flaws that came with the language because of the design decisions that were taken initially. Most of them still affect us till date, but I mean, even after that, it runs most of the internet, so it should be something commendable. But again, like I said, we need to know the cost of it. So yeah, so let's get started with the series, and let's call it the horrors of JavaScript, and see you in the next video. If you have any questions, you can ask and maybe share with your friends. I'll be dropping more videos on JavaScript explaining the cost of things that you use rather than the how-tos of it, because you'll find many tutorials doing that, but no one explains the cost of things. So this will be purely focused on the cost of using JavaScript, when you should use what, how to optimize things, how to do things better, when to use JavaScript, when to not use JavaScript, and so on. So yeah, excited to start this series. I hope you folks are too. See you in the next video. Bye.